Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone in chat. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Carly. Hi, Kiwi Song. I'm a Michigander and I'm so excited for this. Yes, I don't live in Michigan. I'm in California. But that being said, I'm still very, very excited for this super special stream. If you can't tell by the stream title already, we have an esteemed guest, the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, who is going to be joining us very, very shortly. But this is going to be super, super special. So make sure to stick around because we have a lot of conversations. We'll be playing Stardew Valley. Yes, Big Gretch is here. It's going to be incredible. So what I'm going to do now is bring in our very, 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 very special guest, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Hi.
Hi, I'm glad to be with you. I'm nervous.
No, it's okay. I'm gonna be really honest. I'm a little nervous too, but we're gonna have so much fun. I just want to do a really quick intro, but I feel like you don't need an introduction because who doesn't know who Big Gretch is? Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer is a lifelong Michigander and a rising figure in U.S. politics. She first ran for state representative at the age of 29, and she later served in the Michigan Senate before running for governor in 2018. She's known for a strong Michigan accent, shark tattoo, and love of fuchsia. Whitmer, a huge sports fan, originally wanted to be a sports broadcaster, but quickly fell into the world of politics following in her parents' footsteps. She lives in Lansing with her husband, Dr. Mark Mallory, and Kevin and Doug, the first dogs of Michigan. And she's also the proud mother of 2 daughters and 3 stepsons. Welcome back to Refinery29 Twitch.
Thanks, Melissa. I'm glad to be with you.
So last time you were here with us on Twitch, you mentioned that you aren't a gamer, but so I'm really, really, truly honored and grateful that you are game for this special stream. I know your team prepped you on Stardew Valley. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I think this will be a lot of fun. And, as I was prepping, I told my older daughter, I'm going to play Stardew Valley on Twitch with Melissah from Refinery29. And she's like, you need to call Sydney right now. My daughter, Sydney, is like, loves this game so much. So I'm excited. It'll be fun.
It's gonna be great. So we're gonna hop into a farm that I created, which I named Great Lakes Farm in honor of your state, Michigan. And we're just gonna tend to our crops and tidy up the farm as we have this conversation. Um,
All
Chat,
right.
if you have any questions for the governor, feel free to drop them in chat and we'll try to get them in. But we do have a very packed programming. All right, so let's hop out and see. All right. Are you here, Governor Whitmer?
I'm here.
All right, I think you might start inside your cabin.
Yep, I need to get up, don't I? All right.
There you
Oh,
are. I
hi.
love your
There you Thanks for
character.
coming
Hi.
over. Should
So
I
we can
just
hop
follow you
on
out the
out.
door, or should I open this package?
I think you should open it. Yeah. Oh, nice. You
Look at
got some
that.
seeds. All right, so you can follow me outside the door.
All right. That was nice of the mayor to give me some seeds.
Yes, you can actually plant them right here on this patch right here. That's been
Wow, you've got it all ready for me, don't you?
I prepped it for you.
Thank you.
Since we're gonna be tending to our crops, I want to know. Oh my gosh, you're offering me some parsnip seeds. Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Neither
Are
one.
you a gardener in real life?
No. I'm not. Although it is something I aspire to be honest. I think
Same.
it's like I'd love to grow. Oh, it's out of season. I can't plant my parsnip seeds right now for you.
It's okay.
Apparently, we only plant in spring parsnip seeds.
It's summer right now.
No, I do
Yes.
aspire to it. I'd love to be able to grow like food and eat it fresh right off the, I don't know, right out of the ground. You're growing kale or strawberries or tomatoes. That'd be cool. Do you garden at
Same.
all?
I do not. I live in a condo building, so there's not, unfortunately, a lot of outdoor space. But my dream is to have a farm like this because I feel like that's just so much peace and joy in life, which I absolutely need.
Yeah.
All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna harvest some of these flowers and crops that I have set up. We have some radishes, some poppies, spangles, and sunflowers. So if you come up, you can click on these crops. I think you just
All right.
right click. There you go. Nice.
Oh, I've got it on my head.
I think you're holding it up. Yep. I love it. I love it. You have tools, right, Governor Whitmer?
I do, yes.
Okay, awesome. So if you click on the tools, like 1 or 2, it might be set on,
The
and it'll
axe
bring
or
out this.
the
Yep.
hoe.
You have an axe, a
Pickaxe.
pickaxe, a scythe,
I found the. Okay.
and a hoe. So you click on any of those numbers, it'll bring that tool up for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want me to? What do you want? You want me to water some stuff?
I think you want to not hold that radish anymore. You can click on any of those
Yeah.
tools. We'll
Oh,
just
I
hold that
see.
for you.
Okay.
There
There.
you go.
Put my.
Yep. So wait, I have to ask you, what is the story behind the shark tattoo?
Well, when I was getting ready to run for governor the first time, there was a speech coach that came to town to work with me, and I love to learn, new tricks of the trade or whatever, and how to be a more effective communicator. I'm always interested in. And the speech coach said, in a debate, no matter who's debating, the happy warrior always wins the debate. The person who looks like they're the most relaxed and having the most fun almost always wins the debate, regardless of what people say. And he kept telling me, remember to be a happy warrior. And his trick was when you go in, put a big smiley face at the top of your paper to remind you to be happy. And I don't know about you, but telling me to be happy doesn't make me happy. It actually sometimes has the opposite effect. It's irritating.
Mm.
And so I had gone to this comedy show, and this guy who was opening for Kevin Hart told this hilarious story about women's empowerment and how women today are much more empowered than, decades ago, where they were shy to talk about being, having their period or whatever. And he was saying back in the day, a woman, if she was having her period, would say, my Aunt Flo is in town, and couldn't even bring herself to say the words. And nowadays, women are so much more empowered that if they're having their period, they'll say, it's Shark Week, motherfucker. And so that made me laugh. So you're laughing. It's hilarious. That was my thing that kept me the happy warrior. So I wrote SWMF on the top of my papers. And so every time I do something big, I'm always like, it's Shark Week, mother. And so to cultivate that, I had a tattoo put on my shoulder of a shark to remind me it's always Shark Week. You weren't expecting that whole story, were you?
No, but I love that story because I feel like every tattoo always has some sort of meaning, and the fact that this is what reminds you when you look at that shark tattoo is incredible. I love that. I love that.
It's funny. That's what it's all about. Women's empowerment, and I thought it was hilarious. So
Yes,
there you go.
yes. All right, let's finish grabbing these crops. So yeah, you can just come over and we're just gonna finish grabbing these poppies now.
Oh wait, I don't want to eat the poppy. It asked me if I wanted to eat the poppy.
You don't have to.
I don't.
Got
I don't
plenty
think
of energy.
Do people eat poppies?
I guess in the world of Stardew Valley, you can.
Who knew? All right.
Who knew? I want to kick things off though. So I would love for you an understanding. What does being an American mean to you?
I think it means recognizing that we have an important leadership role in the world. I think it recognizing that every person in this country is deserving of respect and protection under the law. I think it means taking pride in a country that is so young but has such great leadership globally. But it also means, speaking out and protesting when our government's not doing the right thing. So that's what I think it means to me. How would you answer that question? It's a good question.
I think being an American is being a leader, not necessarily just on the world stage, but also within your own community and how you present and talk with others, how you welcome others, how you treat others. And, my parents immigrated from South Korea in the 80s. And the number one reason why they wanted to come here wasn't just obviously for better opportunities, but they really valued the idea of freedom, personal freedoms. And that was something that they still carry to them into their adulthoods. Now they're retired. It's something that they cherish, and they've instilled that in me. So being able to have those personal freedoms is just so important.
Yeah, I love that. It's hard to define what being an American is, but I think all of what you said is real for so many people. For me, that's part of how I would define it as well. I love that.
Yeah. As governor of Michigan, what kind of America have you tried to build and hope to continue doing?
Well, when I first ran for office, it was about local issues. I was thinking about my local community. I was in the state house and I went to the state senate. I was, taking care of my mom at the end of her life. She died of brain cancer. At the same time, I was pregnant and had my first daughter, Sherry. And that kind of changed everything for me. It didn't change my values, but it eliminated my patience for people who want to play games or to promote themselves. Like, we got important issues as a country to deal with. And so as I think about, what I've always tried to fight for, I think about my kids and everyone in their generation. You all have the greatest stake in the decisions that we make today. And so making sure that Michigan's a place where they're respected and protected under the law, can make their own decisions, have real opportunity. And I think that's, Michigan's a microcosm of the country. And that's, I think, what we should all be, continuing to fight for.
I love that. I 100% agree. All right, it's already 1:40 a.m. It's way past our bedtime right now. So what we're going to do, Governor Whitmer, is head to bed so we can start a new day. So you're going to go back to your cabin here.
Okay.
Oh, you fell asleep.
Oh, I guess I fell asleep.
We didn't make it. We didn't make it to bed in time. It's okay.
That's like I'm in college. No.
I know, taking me way back. I can't pull those all-nighters anymore. It just affects me way too much, but yeah.
Oh, just wait till you're my age.
All right. Okay, so we're just gonna start
Yeah,
our
what
new
hours do
day.
you keep, Melissa? Like, what do you usually go to bed and get up?
So I'm almost embarrassed to admit this because gamers are notoriously night owls. I used to stay up till maybe like 3 in the morning and get up at 8 for work, but being able to operate off of 5 hours is no longer feasible for myself. So I usually try to get to bed by like 12:30. Hopefully.
I mean, that still sounds really late to me, so good for you.
What's bedtime for you, Governor Whitmer?
I mean, I get up at 5, always, every day, no matter what day of the week. So, look, I still have a flower on my head. Yeah, I'm an early bird. I like to go to bed, 10 and get up at 5.
Nice. Those are good hours. That's what I'm hoping to get to soon.
Oh, I think I need to give you my flower.
You can. Oh, my inventory might be full.
You don't have space for it either. Okay.
Let me see. Let me try to get rid of some stuff. Now I have a pepper on my head. Drop this off.
I like this game.
Yeah, it's cozy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You can give it to me now.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Can eat this. The last time that you were on Refinery29 Twitch, it was in 2023 when anti-abortion groups sued the FDA over its approval of the abortion pill mifepristone. And as we know, that fight ended with the Supreme Court restoring access to the necessary medication. But since then, we've just seen these continued attacks on the rights of people, with uteruses extend to healthcare providers. Earlier this year, the first U.S. doctor was criminally charged for providing abortion pills across state lines. As an advocate, a staunch advocate for women's rights and people's access to, necessary health care, how do we fight back? Where do we go from here?
Well, I mean, it's a really troubling time. We had such great strides with the fall. I mean, when the fall of Roe happened, it encouraged people to dig in, to fight to protect these rights at the state level. Really important. But, I'm sad to say that this is an ongoing, worrisome situation where you've got a Supreme Court that has upended the law. You've got states who are going forward and making it harder to be a woman in their states, cutting off access to health care. So I think it's important that young people know the laws where they choose to live, that they vote with their feet as well as, at the ballot box, but also to stay engaged, to support organizations that are helping women get access. At this moment, we can't change what happened at the Supreme Court, but we can, at the community level, make a difference. And I think it's important not to tune out, but to tune in and to stay engaged and to do things that you can feel are making a difference. After the election, I'll tell you, I kind of tuned out for a while. I watched a lot of Dexter. If I'd have known about Stardew Valley, maybe I'd have spent my time here. But I also know about myself, when I do that, I feel worse. I feel more anxious. I can feel my stress build. So I got to be in it, and I got to help people. And I think every one of us can do that. It looks different for all of us, but it's important not to disengage.
Yeah, I think that's been really, really tough for me as well. I mean, during the first Trump presidency, I was actually working at CNN. So you can imagine how much of a weight that was on just living it day to day. And it's been, I'm going to be honest, it's been tough to continue to stay plugged in with everything that's going on. But I think, having even just moments like this where we're gaming and talking about these things, there's ways to stay engaged that feel still right and cozy for you. So I appreciate that call to action that we definitely need to. I mean, just this last week, we had mass protests across the country. People demonstrating with hands-off rallies. What are your thoughts in seeing that, huge response from everyday Americans?
I'm encouraged by it. When you see Cory Booker, take a stand on the U.S. Senate floor, when you see the close margins in a lot of these races, when you see what happened in Wisconsin last week in the election, we have to engage in a way that makes sense at wherever we call home. And it looks different for everyone. And that's why I say, know that there are a lot of people who want to say, all need to do it this way or that way. No, every one of us can participate in whatever way makes the most sense, whatever ground we're fighting for, wherever we are. And I think that's something to really to take, I think, some inspiration from how we've seen people find ways. And I got to tell you, some of the signs at those protests show that the mettle that people still have, the level of engagement, and the creativity that our fellow Americans who are in this fight have. And I think that alone I found inspiration on this past weekend. Definitely. When I saw.
Definitely. I want to take you somewhere special on this farm really quickly. If you would follow me. Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to head over here to our chicken coop. We're going to pop in. So we have a couple chickens. If you right click on the door, you'll come in.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Huh. It took me a minute too to realize that.
Okay.
So here's our chicken coop. I have 2 chickens, which I've named Kevin and Doug after your dogs.
Oh.
And if you right click on them, you can pet them.
Aw.
Kevin looks really happy today, yes. And they've also laid some eggs for us, so we can, if you want to right click these, you can pick them up. Or maybe it's left click, I'm not sure. There you go.
Oh, I just pulled out my axe, my pickaxe. I don't want to do that.
No, we can't break the eggs. We can't break the eggs.
I know.
We can also leave them. We can grab them later.
Okay. I have too much stuff in my thing.
It's okay. I'll have a flower on my head too, so we can be in solidarity. I did want to ask you about, getting more women involved in politics, whether it is in an elected office or in grassroots levels. There are currently 12 state governors who are women, 13 if you count Puerto Rico. 18 states have never had a woman governor. What do you think is preventing women from reaching the executive level in state politics?
Well, it's interesting. We have 8 Democratic women governors right now. That is a historic high. high water mark. Same for having 12 total, 4 Republican governors in addition to the 8 Democrats. And it is really kind of stunning when you think about Michigan's had 2 women governors, Kansas has had a number of women governors, same with Arizona. But there are some states like California that's never had one, or Florida, some big states. And so I think, like so many male-dominated arenas, there were certain barriers that had been erected over years that we're trying to knock down and pull more women in. We've got a women's fund to help women who are running because our experience is that of over 50% of the population. And we need to be at all tables where important decisions are being made, whether it's in corporate America or in public life like I am, or it is in gaming, right? As creating games and participating. I think it's really important. So historic barriers are real in all of these realms, and that's why I recognize I benefited from those who came before me, and I have a responsibility to those who come after to prop that door open, not just walk through it myself.
100%. Yeah. I hear you. I mean, I live in California, so the fact that we've never had a woman as governor is honestly kind of wild to me. But hopefully, things like this, streams like this, conversations like this will encourage more women to pursue, political careers. Again, whether it's for elected office or, working behind the scenes, working on campaigns, even just volunteering in elections too. It's important that we all really participate in really what is our civic duty. At least that's my opinion on things.
Yep.
Um, let's pop out of the chicken coop. We'll leave Kevin and Doug. I'm gonna go ahead and feed them first though, so they don't go hungry.
Oh, good
I'm
idea.
stuck. Yeah, we don't want them to go hungry. Okay, so let's pop out. Okay.
I'm coming.
You got this.
Yes.
I also
Okay.
appreciate that your character is designed like how your headshot is. I know fuchsia is like your favorite color.
Well, it's fun. This is hilarious. It's a nice wholesome game. I'm all
It
for it.
is. A lot of gamers love Stardew Valley because I don't know if you're familiar with the term cozy gaming or cozy games, but it's the idea that, gaming can be really helpful for people's mental health where they can be able to
Mhm.
relax, just take some time away from the craziness or disruptiveness of their day-to-day lives. I would love to actually pick your brain a little bit about issues that gamers care about. Um, we are on Twitch, which is primarily for gamers. So that's why this conversation is important. Our internet laws are sorely outdated, specifically when it comes to data privacy. What are your thoughts on how lawmakers, whether on the state level or on the federal level, how can they address these concerns? What should we be doing?
Yeah, no, it's a really important question. I'd not heard the phrase cozy gaming, but I love it. And I think of like watching the Great British Baking Show during COVID was like my cozy
Yes.
viewing.
Same
But
vibe.
as you think about all the information that is online and all the different ways that people are abusing that information. We put it on thinking that there's some level of trust or confidentiality, and there's not. And all the ways that people are making money selling our information, and all the different ways that it can be abused. I think it's really important that we have. It'd be great if we could get it done at the federal level, because having a patchwork of states try to figure this out isn't going to be really effective, because the internet doesn't stop at state lines. Most of us have no idea where the company that we're even sharing information with is based. So it's really, I think, needs to be driven by the federal level. But as I just look, I get notices all the time when people try to access my healthcare records. It
Yeah.
happens all the time. I don't know what people are looking for, but it doesn't matter. That's my private information, and it's really egregious how vulnerable we all are, and that's why I think we do need to have a lot more protections when it comes to our online security and data privacy.
Yeah,
I,
definitely.
I wish there was something we
Um,
could do at the state level. I
I
really
know.
do. It's frustrating, and I'm always talking to my own kids about information that we're putting online, and they sometimes just I feel like have the attitude, well, it's already out there, like it's what can be done now, and I hate to think that could be a prevailing attitude from anyone, much less in my own household. We have to take measures to protect ourselves, but we also should count on regulators and our leaders to do their part too.
Definitely. Let's move up towards the campfire so we can have a little light on ourselves. Oh, I think it's time to go to sleep though. It's okay. We'll
Yeah.
have one thing. I want to read a comment in chat. Kia Girl 99 says, Governor Whitmer, it is so great to see you and listen to you. Really admire what you have done and how you have done it. It is important for young girls to see women in powerful positions, to see what they can aspire to. You project both strength and compassion. Also, love your first dogs.
Thank you. That's so nice.
um, you mentioned that you were watching Dexter, which I think is a very interesting choice as your like comfort TV show. Is that correct? Am I characterizing that correctly?
I don't know if Dexter would be a comfort TV show. I would say it's I gravitate to things that are drama, because it kind of takes me out of my day-to-day job, which is drama. It was just kind of
Yeah.
ironic, right? But it's not crime. So I
Yeah.
guess that's the hook. But no, I love like the Great British Baking Show. Like that is cozy, fun. It's good reality television where there's so much toxic reality television. And
Yeah.
my daughter and I just finished watching White Lotus, so there's that too. As
Oh
drama.
my gosh, did you love this season?
It was wild. I love
Yeah.
Walton Goggins. I love him so
Yeah.
much. So yeah,
Yeah.
a great group. I thought it was fun.
He's great.
Lucius Malfoy too, right?
Jason Isaacs, I actually interviewed him
Oh, you
for the
did?
White Lotus. I did, and I just let him know. I was like, "Hey, I just want to let you know I'm a huge fan." And I think he's used to people recognizing him for being Lucius Malfoy for Harry Potter, but he just has done
Uh-huh.
great work, and he was very kind. So,
That's
um,
cool.
yeah,
Where is he from, or is he English?
yes, he is.
Okay. He did that South Carolina accent so well, I wasn't sure. Oh, it's morning.
It is
Yay.
morning. It is also the start of a new season, so it's gonna be fall. Everything's gonna look a little different.
Oh, all right. I can just
All
even
of
get out
our
now.
summer crops have sadly passed, which is totally fine.
Ah,
So we can try to maybe let's maybe just clear it. So if you equip your axe or pickaxe, do you see it? Yeah, we can clear some of these fields. So yeah, Stardew Valley has a different seasons. So depending on what season it is, determines what kind of crops you get to plant.
oh, this is fun.
I bear with me, Governor Whitmer. I do want to ask this. Michigan became the 10th state to legalize recreational marijuana in 2018, just before you took
Uh-huh.
office. Hypothetically speaking, who would be in your dream blunt rotation?
Snoop Dogg and Willie Nelson, for sure. For sure. No,
Snoop.
sorry. Yes, Snoop. I think Seth Rogen would be a riot too, to be honest.
I
Where are
feel
all the
like
women?
yeah.
I feel like I should have a woman in my rotation. Who would it be? Who would you choose?
Who would
No.
who would I pick? I would pick Obama because I think it'd be just really interesting to pick his brain. I would also, of course, pick Snoop. That's just a given. And honestly, I would pick you. I think you.
Okay.
I would love to have an off-stream conversation with you. Maybe under some sort of influence, but yeah, that would be, I think, a dream convo.
All right. I figured I'm down. I'm in my last term, so what the hell?
Well, now that you bring that up, I honestly didn't realize that this was your second and final term as the governor to the state of Michigan until I was, doing my prep. Time is flying by. It feels like just yesterday that you were elected to the governorship. How are you feeling?
It's bittersweet. As hard as my job has been at times, and we've had so many crises to confront. Just this last weekend, we had this massive ice storm in northern Michigan, and I mean, it was just brutal. And showing up and trying to help people, it's hard. But you also see some of the best in people during the hard times. Communities coming together, people helping each other out. Like it's the inspiration of this job that I love, and that I will not miss crises, but that's the kind of fulfillment that you get even in hard times. So that's something that I've loved about the job, and I got a incredible team around me. The team that prepped me to do this with you, by the way, amongst a much broader team, and so I love the job. I love what I've been able to do. I'm proud of what we've been able to get done. I've still got a year and 9 months, so I'm not slowing down. But it is kind of a strange thing to be in my 7th year as governor. But I think term limits are not a bad thing in these jobs either.
Right.
4 years terms take a toll, and if you're lucky enough to do 2 of them like I am, it's sometimes good to have turnover. I think maybe our friends at the federal government should keep that in mind too. Not that I'm trying to push any in particular person out. It's just, youth and energy and new ideas and new perspectives, I think are a healthy thing.
I agree. I think it says something where, the majority of our federal lawmakers are still baby boomers, and we don't have Gen X, millennials, even Gen Zs could be, in office now. It's definitely something to be in mind, keep in mind of. Jordan313 says, as a Michigander, we are so proud and grateful for all the work that you've contributed to Michigan and our government.
Thank you, Jordan.
I would love to know, what's been your proudest accomplishment so far in your tenure, and what's one thing that you still hope to achieve as governor of Michigan?
It's hard to point to one thing, right? Whether it is in our ability to codify reproductive rights and to take down barriers, all the trap laws that were on the books. I'm really proud of that. I'm proud that I signed the bill to expand full civil rights protections to the LGBTQ community with my daughter, Sherry, who's a gay woman by my side. Like, that was one of those moments, like, as a mom and as a leader, something we fought for so long. So proud of that. But, serving all 1.4 Michigan kids breakfast and lunch at school free of charge is that's life-changing for so many.
Yeah.
So those are just a few examples. I still got a lot of things I want to get done. We've fixing the damn roads is something I ran on. We've made a lot of good headway on that, but we haven't fixed the real problem yet. So it's something I want to get done before I'm done. And continuing to build up manufacturing in Michigan is something that's really important in today's economy, but also for the long-term security of my state's economy, of our state's economy. I know you live in California now, but I'm still claiming you.
I actually grew up in Illinois, so I am a Midwestern girl when I was a kid, and I would often go to Michigan during my winter vacations with my family to do a little bit of skiing in Michigan. So, yes, please claim me. I'm happy to be claimed. Let's empty our inventory because we're just carrying a lot of stuff. So if you come up here to this box that will open up and right-click it, it'll bring up your inventory menu, and you can just sort of throw in all those flowers and veggies and kind of clear up some space. Did that help a little bit?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. And then let's go over to the left, and we're going to clear some trees and rocks, make some more space for our crops. Are you good to go, Governor?
Okay. Yep.
All right.
Sorry, it took me a second.
No,
Okay.
you're totally fine. I'm here as your Stardew Valley guide. I'm the tour guide here.
Okay, thank you. You're a great guide.
All right, so we're gonna go over to the left. Nice. And then maybe bring out your axe. The axe is gonna cut down trees. The pickaxe is gonna break stones, and the scythe is gonna clear all of that grass. So depending on what you're facing, you can kind of clear the way. Yep.
I'm not very good at chopping down a tree. Oh, watch out!
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. Now, I think I read somewhere I need to take the stump out too. There we go. All right, I cleared it.
Nice. I don't think our tools are strong enough to break this. I could be wrong though.
Oh, your axe is not strong enough to break this stump. All right, you are correct.
It's okay.
Right.
We have a question from Kiwi Song. Governor Whitmer, American or Lafayette, Detroit, Coney dogs?
I grew up going to Lafayette, so Lafayette.
That's the choice.
Well, I wonder how they would answer the question.
Kiwi, what's your pick? While Kiwi writes, I would love to also ask, do you have a Spotify Wrapped? If so, who was in your top 5 artists last year?
I don't. So.
Well, how about this? Who's on your playlist? Who do you love to listen to? What's your go-to song when you want to just like pump yourself up and get yourself motivated for the day?
I mean, I am so Gen X, so my go-to song when I need to like fire up or I'm getting ready for a hard day is Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses. So anyone who's watching, their parents probably know what I'm talking about. But you know, it's a good, like loud, pumping song that you know gets me ready for a fight.
Yes, I saw Guns N' Roses at Coachella. Axl was in a chair, I think, because I think you broke his leg. So
I thought you were gonna say broke a hip. Yeah, it makes me feel really old. But yeah, no, he's still going. I mean, they're good. They're fun. So yes, I'm very 80s. I like big hair. I like bright lipstick and leather jackets. So I'm still very 80s.
I love it. I love it. Is there a fashion trend that you are excited to see again come back? I mean, you talked about the big hair and the lipsticks. 80s was very big when I was, you know, in my, I'll call it early 20s, in the 2000s and 2010s. And I remember the shoulder pads and the hair and all that coming back. Is there a fashion trend that you would love to see come back?
Not shoulder pads. And you know, I got to tell you, I've got mixed feelings about the mustache coming back. You know,
mustache.
There are a lot of young men who are rocking mustaches now, and that was like a little bit right before my time. So it's kind of funny to see it. I'm not saying they don't look good. It's just I'm not sure how I feel about it. Makes me think of my father.
Got it. All right, let's clear some more of these grass. It's getting dark though, nighttime. You might want to switch to your scythe.
I need my yes.
There you go. Yep. All right.
I want to hurt you. I feel like I'm dangerous with a scythe.
I don't think there's a friendly fire in this game.
Okay. I don't think we should use our scythes this late at night. 9:40.
That's true. This is probably OSHA's gonna have some thoughts about this one. When I was thinking about this interview and a question that really captures sort of, I think, my political feelings and my political mood right now. This is sort of where I landed. You know, we've heard countless politicians. We've heard from countless politicians that our country has never been more divided, polarized. These are divisive times. And it's gotten to a point that for so many of us, these words have almost lost meaning. but it is true. And I'm curious to know your thoughts. What advice do you have on how to approach tough conversations with people who don't share the same political views? And also, when is it worth reaching across the aisle to work together? And when is it important to draw a line in the sand?
I think it's almost always worth trying to find common ground. You know, I mean, unless someone is diametrically opposed to you and so dug in, and you know that you're just going to be wasting your energy, right? Like the farm, you can't just waste your energy. It's a
Mm,
precious, finite resource, right? As are the hours that we have on this earth. Um, that being said, if we don't talk to each other, you're guaranteed never to find common ground. And so I always try to engage in a conversation. Sometimes it's just at the most basic level of like, hey, you're a Michigan State Spartan fan. You know, how can we find something that we have common ground on? And then to expand on that to find something else that we can talk about. It's not You're not able to do that with everybody. You shouldn't try to do that with everybody. But where it matters or where it can make a difference, it's almost always worthwhile. It doesn't mean you ever sacrifice your values. It means like if you can uh, find something to work on together, that's great. It's better than not talking and never knowing and not getting anything done. So it's a really hard time right now to find that where that sweet spot is. I talked to you a little bit about we had this big ice storm in northern Michigan, rural parts of the state. A lot of people who don't have a lot of resources and who are struggling, who still don't have power, by the way, and they're over a week into it. We're trying to, called out the National Guard to clear the road so that the utility companies can get in and do their jobs. But I mean, this was like a climate event unlike anything we've ever seen before, which we've heard over and over again, because we know climate change is real and it's wreaking havoc on our lives. Um, but I've got to be able to talk to the president, who I worked really hard to defeat. I was a Kamala Harris supporter, and I worked really hard to try to help her get elected. But I got to talk to President Trump about this community that needs help. And so I can't not have that conversation and fail the people of Michigan. I've got a duty to try. And so I think, that's my political side, that's my professional side. My personal side is all I can see sometimes are the differences where we're not going to find common ground. But I have a duty to try to help people that I care about, that I represent, even if they didn't vote for me. I got that duty. So you draw a line where it is about things that you cannot negotiate on, like fundamental rights and what the rule of law is, and standing up for our democracy. But you have to have a conversation, because sometimes people are counting on you, and maybe
yeah.
there's something good you can do for someone.
Yeah, definitely. That's just something that's been on my mind because I think to myself, it's interesting you bring up about core values because talking to someone, having a conversation, even debating doesn't necessarily mean you're compromising your core values. Um, it means you're having a conversation. And I think the more information and the more we speak to each other, the more opportunity there is for not only, the person you're talking to grow, but also yourself in terms of better understanding each other. And I think that goes back to sort of the idea of what America is, which is the community aspect of it all. And I think being on Twitch, which emphasizes community so much, it's the same sort of thing, right? You want to have engagement, you want to be able to reach people, and you really want to be able to have deep, meaningful conversations. So um, I agree. I think it's just tough sometimes when people are so, as you said, dug in on their points of view that it can feel discouraging, but that doesn't mean that we should necessarily stop trying.
And when you try, every once in a while, you'll have a conversation that makes a difference. And there's inspiration there. Or you'll learn something about someone that makes you think, okay, maybe I've learned something that makes me a better human being, or a better leader, or better at my job. And so it's opportunities for both parties. And when you talk to each other, you do sometimes find things that surprise you that you have in common. And that's something to build on. We saw that during, reproductive rights roundtables we hosted all across the state. Women would show up who were voted on the other side of the aisle, but came over because this fundamental right was now being threatened. And they had stories and that they shared with their families that made a difference. And what they traditionally said, well, I'm absolutely opposed to abortion rights. And then once you find out, oh, that procedure saved your life or saved your fertility or gave you the opportunity to be where you are today, like, yeah, I don't know better than you. You should be able to make that decision. And it changed behavior. And so even on a hot button issue like that, there's common ground to be found, but you can't find if you're not talking to each other.
Definitely. Since you won't be running for governor for the 2026 elections, there's been a lot of movement happening in the race for Michigan's governorship. Your Lieutenant Governor, Garland Gilchrist, and Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, are running. Yesterday, Republican Congressman John James announced his gubernatorial bid. I won't ask who you're backing, but what advice do you have for who will eventually be the Democratic Party's candidate for Michigan governor?
I think so far we've got some great candidates who've already jumped in, who run statewide, by the way. They know what it takes to get elected. So I don't know that any of them need my advice. The thing that I would say is applicable in this role, in any state, in any role, frankly, in any organization, is the superpower of listening. I don't think enough people do that. We make assumptions about one another and we tend to assume the worst as opposed to give people the benefit of the doubt. We don't ask questions, or if we do ask questions, we're just asking them to make conversation as opposed to like really listening to what the answer is. And so the best thing I did when I ran for governor the first time was get into all 83 counties and ask people, if I'm lucky enough to get elected, what could I do that'll make your life better? And then actually listen to what they say. And I think that's really, really important, to be able to listen in a way that, you're not just hoping for a one-word answer. You're trying to really understand what's going on with someone.
Yeah. What are you going to do in your time off after, 2026, 2027 hits and you've officially ended your second term? What does R&R look like for a former governor?
Stardew Valley.
Yes.
I don't know yet. I don't know yet. I'm reading a great book right now that talks about, growth and a growth mindset and community and, purpose, what your purpose is going to be. And I think I'm really going to take a little bit of time when this comes to a close to think about that and to kind of, I always tell people I'd like to go walk the earth for a while. And people laugh because it's kind of an odd thing to say, but there's some truth to it, to reconnect and to take that moment to figure out what is it that I want to do? What do I want to do? I'll be 55 years old and, I've got a lot more that I can contribute, but what does it look like in a way that's meaningful and that gives me purpose?
I love that. I also love when women are confident about, saying their age. I am 36 years old. I'm about to embark on a new chapter of my life. And I just love being able to, I love when women say that and lead with that, because I think it's important to embrace all chapters of what your life is going to be. So just want to throw that in there.
I love it.
I have to ask you, Governor Gretchen Whitmer, are you running for president of the United States in 2028?
I just told you I have no plan yet. I'm going to walk the earth and figure out what my next season looks like. I don't know yet.
Okay. I had to ask. You can't fault me for that. I have to ask.
Well, of course, you're doing your job.
Raquel in chat would love to know if you would be thinking about starting a podcast. Is that something that might be on your horizon?
I don't know. You know what? It is not as easy as it looks, Melissa. I think you and so many people who are doing it make it look super easy, but I know it's a lot of work. It's hard to do. So I enjoy listening to podcasts. I enjoy, being a guest. I don't know if I'm the person to lead one, but never say never. I've learned that.
Yeah, well, you have an incredible team. That honestly, shout out to the governor's team for helping set up all this tech on Twitch too. And I'm sure they could get you equipped for a podcast as well. And I'm sure it would be super, super successful. Um, Before we wrap things up, I do have a few more questions that I love to ask. Chat, if you have any questions for the governor, feel free to drop them in now. We can do some sort of like here, there, everywhere sort of vibe. Um, what is the number one issue that you think will be at stake for Michiganders in 2026? And what about for Americans nationwide when it comes to the midterm elections?
Oh, it is so hard to know what is going to be front and center other than the economy. And I think we can always count on, thank you for coming, join me. I'm chopping up stumps right now.
Yes, yeah.
I think that it, it almost every election comes down to the economy. What does it mean? What's happening for you? Can you make a good living and get ahead in your life? Can you take care of your family and buy a home? Can you afford to get the education you need to be successful and live your version of the American dream? And so, no matter what, I think that will always play a big role. And considering all the tariffs and the taxes and the incredible hits that so many people have taken in terms of finances with all the decisions that have been made recently, I anticipate that's going to be front and center. As well as individual rights, our personal freedoms are obviously very much continue to be at stake and at risk. And I'm confident that that will continue to motivate people. And then the foundational elements of this democracy. You see what's happening where people who've done nothing are being, punished. It's antithetical to what a democracy is supposed to be, and sadly, I don't think we've seen the end of it. Probably just the
Yeah.
beginning, and I anticipate that'll motivate people as well. I know
Yeah.
it's
I
going
mean,
to motivate me.
yes. We've already seen those motivations come to fruition. Like I mentioned, the protest this past weekend, the election in Wisconsin last week, 2 weeks ago. Um, I think we have a question in chat. Yes, Ellie wants to know, do you watch Yellow Jackets? Is that a TV show that's on in your queue?
Oh
She'd love
yeah,
to hear all your thoughts.
absolutely. I love Yellow Jackets. It's, Lord of the Flies with women, strong women. There's some great characters. I love the actresses who play the young versions of the character, and then the older. Like they're all spectacular, and it's like I don't know, 95% of the characters are female, and they're tough, and they're strong, and they're interesting, and they're scary. I think it's so fun.
Yeah, and
I
it
know.
definitely passes the Bechdel test too, right? We're not talking about men the whole time. We are actually literally trying to survive. So,
I know.
being the opposite of Stardew Valley.
When you find out, yeah, so I know it is kind of the opposite of Stardew Valley, but when I tell you that I've enjoyed Dexter and Yellow Jackets, does it scare the heck out? Do you wonder like is really going on with her?
No, I think this season has been very, very interesting. I'm glad we're out of the winter, honestly, because that was really, really tough season 2. So the fact that we're entering this a little bit more summer vibes, spring vibes, it's nice, but yeah.
I thought they were going to get
But
rescued. I really did. I didn't see the twist at the end there. So
yeah, yeah. Well, I think they said how long did they say they were in the wilderness for? Maybe like 18 months, 18 months or something, right?
yeah, I think it's like a year and a half, between a year and a half and 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. We have
it's
another
tough.
question from chat. Governor Whitmer, if you had an unlimited budget to take a dream vacation, where would you go?
Oh God, that's a lovely question. Um, I think I would do an around the world trip and take my family. Maybe have everyone take like a friend so we could explore on our own, not all have to be together all the time. But I would love to do like an around the world trip and just explore, spend 3 days in every port. It would be so fun.
Yeah.
How would you answer
Well,
that
maybe
question, Melissa?
my dream vacation, I would love to go to Morocco. Um,
Mm,
just in general, I think the culture and the smells and the foods, I think would just be incredible. Um, If I had unlimited budget, though, I would like to go to Antarctica. I think
Ah,
the idea of traversing the world, stepping where no human perhaps has ever stepped before, is an idea that fascinates me, and that is what I liked. I like to feel like I'm sort of pioneering my own journey. When I am like in the woods, I think to myself, has any person in the history of mankind ever stepped in this exact spot? These are the type of thoughts that I have. So Antarctica would be on the top of my list of kind of a fantasy like vacation.
I love it. I love it. Not something most people would say, but it's cool. I get why you are drawn to that. That would be neat.
Right.
Well, I'll add it
And
to my around the world tour.
yes, yes. I think they have cruises that literally you could just sail across the whole world for months on end. And maybe there's one that stops by Antarctica. I don't know.
Yeah, I just have to pack a lot of Dramamine.
Yeah. Um, Before we wrap things up, we have one more question from chat. Fortnite Gaming Pro 7 asks, do tariffs affect me as a gamer, even if the gaming companies are in America?
Yeah, I think tariffs are going to affect every single one of us because we eat food, we consume electronics, we are human beings that rely on global commerce. And the thought around tariffs is like the other country is paying them, but that's not true. It's the consumer that ends up paying them. When they put a tariff on steel and we're trying to build more affordable housing across this country, it just jacks up the price of building a house because we import a lot of that from Canada. The Canadian and Mexican tariffs in particular are really troubling because we've built this North American economy that is based on free trade. And this, there are so much of American manufacturing is absolutely dependent on our neighbors to the south and our neighbors to the north. And when there were wildfires in California, Canadians came and helped put them out. Like, this has been a really important, beneficial relationship to both nations. And now it feels very adversarial, and it's going to inure to higher costs for every single one of us, whether it's in our housing or it is in perhaps job losses or it is in the cost of your blueberries coming from Mexico in the winter. We're all going to bear the cost of these tariffs, unfortunately, whether you're a gamer or you're in any other part of the economy, we're all going to feel it.
Yeah, definitely. And someone pointed out in chat too, the Nintendo Switch pre-orders were delayed because of the tariffs. Even if the gaming companies are based in America, they source many of the parts that are in your consoles, in your controllers, in your keyboards. It's sourced abroad. So, the company might be based here, but that doesn't mean their supply chain is. So yeah, it definitely can affect. Um, Last question here from me. The world can feel so big, but sometimes changing the world starts with just making a small change in your community. What's one action people can take today to start building a better world for themselves?
Well, I think, whether it is, your local legislators having a coffee hour, go to it, write a letter, show up. Whether it's you got a food bank that maybe is getting cuts from the federal government, the Trump administration has cut a lot of food banks. If you can make a donation, that's something that is beneficial. Whether you can go and volunteer, I helped serve meals to a community that were at warming stations. That's something that any one of us can do. There are ways at the local level that if you've got some money, you can make a donation. If you've got some food in your pantry, you can donate. That could help too. So a lot of ways, or it's helping someone access um, government benefits, but they don't have a computer to do it. There's a lot of ways to be helpful.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even playing games and having conversations, right? Co-op convos. This is how we can just better understand and better connect and better educate and inform and learn. So every little step and every little action definitely matters and has an impact. Uh, Governor Gretchen Whitmer, I want to say goodbye to you in game. Do you mind coming out of your home? I want to make sure we
Oh, yeah,
sign off
sorry,
with
I'm in
both of
bed.
us.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
I know you usually get up 5 a.m. in real life, so 7:40
I know,
a.m. in
I
game.
kind of am a farmer in that way, yes.
um, Governor Gretchen Whitmer, thank you so much for this incredible conversation, this very, very special stream. It was truly an honor to host you on Arch9 Twitch again and to play Stardew Valley. Do you think Stardew Valley is in your future? Do you think you might hop on and make a new farm for yourself?
I do, and I'm pretty sure that my daughter Sydney is going to teach me how to even do more than what we learned today. And so I thank you, and I'm looking forward to playing.
Amazing. Thank you again so much, chat. Thank you so much for watching. Governor Gretchen Whitmer, seriously, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. The door is always open. Hope to have you again. And thanks, everybody. All right, we're signing off.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. Bye, Melissah.
Bye.